Picture a towering Hollywood icon, two-time Oscar winner Gene Hackman, hiding away in a desert fortress alongside his wife, Betsy Arakawa, only to meet a final end that defies every comforting story we tell ourselves about old age and quiet departures. Their once peaceful Santa Fe home is now a monument to an unsettling mystery that whispers of control, heartbreak, and secrets meant never to be revealed. The barren hills of Santa Fe were supposed to be the last refuge for Gene Hackman, a man whose roles in The French Connection and Unforgiven cemented him as an unflinching presence in Hollywood's golden era, and Betsy Arakawa, the gentle partner who stood by him through storms of fame, family estrangement, and growing isolation. Yet behind the adobe walls of the so-called silent mansion, as locals whispered, no one guessed the depths to which their final days would plunge. In interviews long before he vanished from the spotlight, Hackman hinted that retirement was his moment to escape Hollywood's unrelenting demands. He and Betsy rarely opened their doors, refusing polite visits and skipping invitations, even from old friends. By the time a concerned mail carrier reported an uncollected stack of letters, the couple, along with their faithful dog, had lain motionless for what might have been days, maybe weeks, in an unsettling tableau. No forced entry, no disarray, no outward sign of disease or violence. Normally, such a quiet passing would elicit sad acceptance. But rumors brewed the moment investigators walked into a meticulously tidy scene. A dog at rest, its muzzle pointed toward a softly lit corner. Betsy sprawled near bottles of strong medication, and Gene, who once exuded fearless authority on screen, collapsed in an area he frequently paced, as if undone by a single moment of unimaginable weight. That weight, it turns out, might have been years in the making. Prestige Stories has uncovered the shredded remains of medical prescriptions for potent sedatives, evidence that phone lines were cut off the day the security cameras were inexplicably deactivated, in a timeline that, for all appearances, ended abruptly. Then the nephew, Tim Hackman, spoke just one cryptic line. He saw more than you believe, shoving an already puzzling tragedy into an even darker place. Had Gene Hackman stumbled on unspeakable Hollywood secrets, forcing him into a final act of desperation? Or was Betsy, that often-saw figure, orchestrating a scenario so twisted it reads like the script of a psychological thriller? Neighbors recall hearing Betsy's voice in tearful late-night phone calls, a voice that abruptly fell silent before the cameras cut out and the gates were locked. According to local lore, Gene's children tried contacting him but were turned away by messages or subtle hints that he wasn't well enough to talk. This estrangement fed the rumor mill. Was Betsy protecting a fragile husband, or did her own fears shape a gilded cage from which neither could escape? Prestige Stories have spoken off-record to a paramedic who found not just two bodies in perfect stillness, but an arrangement of personal items, a half-full teacup, a well-worn notepad of scrawled lines referencing old regrets, positioned as though someone wanted to craft a final tableau. Which begs the question, if it was self-orchestrated, why so meticulously staged? If it was an outside hand, how did they leave such a pristine crime scene? No footprints in the dusty yard, no sign of tampering at the locks. Leslie Hackman, Gene's daughter, arrived at the property soon after, only to slip away from the press, leaving behind a cryptic comment about her father's last days feeling more like an unfolding script in real life. With each new whisper, the theory took shape that perhaps Gene Hackman, the unstoppable force on screen, lived his final months as a hostage to dread or emotional manipulation. Might that rumored tape recorder, labeled "Final Words Private," actually exist? The talkative plumber who caught a glimpse of it in 2023 insisted he saw the words, and no one else can hear, scrawled on a post-it stuck to its side. After the couple was discovered, law enforcement claimed they found no such device, fueling suspicions that someone removed it. Someone who either wanted Hackman's final confession destroyed or guarded. Then Tim Hackman's cryptic line floated in. He saw more than you believe. Coupled with a never-answered question of whether the med doses on Betsy's side table were lethal or merely for sedation, watchers of the case surmised a pact. Maybe they both decided they'd rather die than let certain truths emerge. Others, though, paint Betsy as a caretaker turned manipulator, quietly ensuring her beloved star never strayed from her side, even in that ultimate crossing. Some accounts mention the diaries she kept, diaries that vanished once investigators took over. Prestige Stories has tried to verify these rumors, only to be stonewalled by official statements. Inconclusive, no sign of foul play. But as we collate the notes from a coroner about faint contusions on Hackman's forearms, possibly from someone gripping him, and we read the partial medical records that show increased sedation in Betsy's system, a sinister possibility emerges. That one partner insisted they exit the stage together, by choice or by subtle force. Meanwhile, Tinseltown stands awkwardly silent. The tributes to Hackman felt muted, formulaic. The old co-stars who once revered him offered minimal eulogies, avoiding deeper questions about how a man so revered died in such strangeness. Prestige Stories discovered that certain directors who worked with him in his prime quickly canceled interviews when asked about any knowledge of his private life or final months. It's as though a directive passed among Hollywood's old guard. Say little, let it fade. Yet the shadow of Hackman's final hours lingers, refusing to fade. The dog's involvement was first shrugged off until a forensic veterinarian discovered no sign of typical geriatric disease, implying it died at roughly the same time as its owners, healthy before that night. If you can explain that easily, you're doing better than the official investigative teams, who simply wrote unclear cause in the final report. So we're left with an unfinished puzzle. The revered actor, weighed by regrets and fragile age, collude with his beloved to orchestrate a final, bizarre last stand? Or was he the unwitting subject of someone else's compulsion? Or, in a darker reading, did the hush-hush environment of the silent mansion mask a more elaborate scheme, like blackmail or a vow to keep Hackman from disclosing anything he might have recorded on that rumored tape? Only fragments remain. We know that the final call from the landline was to an unknown number in Los Angeles, ended abruptly after 40 seconds. We know that the family eventually took possession of the property, but refused to live there, with Leslie reportedly telling a friend, "I can't shake the feeling it still is prison." We know that no one sold the house, leaving it to stand as a ghostly monument on the hillside. Some nights, onlookers swear they see a flicker of light in an upper window. Prestige Stories does not indulge ghost tales lightly, but we can't ignore the consistent reports. Maybe it's wind or reflection, or maybe it's just a memory of a legend's final heartbreak, glowing at twilight in a place that never gave up its secrets. Which brings us back, inevitably, to that single remark from Tim Hackman. He saw more than you'd believe. If his wife's unwavering loyalty turned into a cause of death, then the quiet creeps in with unstoppable force. The Santa Fe authorities recheck their notes. The FBI denies involvement, and Hollywood pretends the story ended with a peaceful old man's last breath. But for anyone who peers into cracks, like you, the viewer, an undercurrent of dread suggests we'll never fully grasp how or why an actor of such grit and brilliance reached a finale so baffling. Prestige Stories encourages you to reflect on the difference between the public persona of unstoppable men and the private torment that can unravel them. If you dare to keep searching for truth, stay with Prestige Stories. Like, comment, and subscribe to Prestige Stories for more unfiltered accounts of Hollywood's darkest corners. Because each new fragment we uncover might shine a harsh light on the carefully orchestrated illusions that cloak the biggest stars. And maybe, just maybe, we'll discover the real reason the cinematic titan's final scene played out in suffocating silence, overshadowed by the rumored presence of a single tape recorded no one but the dead and the missing can confirm.